Hey guys, All in Crypto here, and welcome back everybody on this fabulous Thursday for another YouTube video. Today we're going to be covering Polkadot Dot, and we're going to be discussing some recent developments. We're going to be looking at Polkadot as a whole. We're really going to kick things off by looking at the new version of XCM that has shipped and why this is such a big deal. And part of understanding why this is such a big deal is to understand actually what makes Polkadot unique in regards to how they're tackling the blockchain issue. You know, how are we going to do blockchain in the future? We did a video not that long ago where we looked at the stocks that came out of the internet, and you have AOL and Netscape and these at the top, and then over time they kind of lost market share. And I actually think that that's going to happen with many of the likes of Ethereum and Bitcoin, perhaps, that we have today. And actually, this new and exciting way, this layer zero, or this sort of relay chain way of doing things, actually may be a more significant way of doing blockchain, or a bigger deal than a layer one, because it actually facilitates a whole network of layer ones to connect with one another and all specialize in their own, in their own fields. And actually, a big part of them connecting is through XCM, which is their sort of blockchain, intra-blockchain messaging service. It's similar to IBC over on Cosmos. So we're going to talk about that, talk about a number of things, number of developments, look at kind of how things are going for Polkadot generally. This is something interesting because I actually got asked to sum up Polkadot, and the cardiovascular system being Polkadot in this example was what I came up with, because it kind of, it's probably the most important system, biological system that we have. And actually, Polkadot is that, and it will basically send messages or data, information, blood to and from the various organisms and cells, and essentially is the kind of consensus mechanism of the human body. And you can sort of see that, with each organ it does a sort of different thing or general thing, and actually the parachains are kind of similar to that, but that's for maybe another video in a little bit more depth. We're going to look at things like developers, just look at how Polkadot has done, look at the last sort of, I should move this to the front because this is in regards to the recent XCM update. Look at how Polkadot did in 2022. It killed it. I think there was about 14 forks that I don't even think people really even realized were taking place. And this is one of the genius things about Polkadot. It's kind of innovated not just how we facilitate, smart contracts and stuff like that, but also it's innovated things like how we fork a blockchains and so on and so forth. So for me, Polkadot's a real winner. I think Polkadot is going to do fabulous in 2023 and onwards, and I think it's going to continue to eat up market share. And as it's relatively small ecosystem, there's about 185 projects on Polkadot currently. In the form of parachains, I believe there are only 48. Now, some of these will be Kusama parachains, but this ecosystem is just going to continue to grow to the hundreds, and then we're going to introduce things like parathreads. And it's just a very, very exciting time for somebody like myself who's so passionate about blockchain to be investing and researching the likes of Polkadot, because I can really see that it has a very, very bright future ahead of it, and a future that I fully intend to be a part of. So that's kind of the outline of what the video is going to be about. Let's get into it, guys. So let's start with the most significant news. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of my face. And that is, after 15 months in development, Polkadot XCM version 3 is merged. This enables bridges, cross-chain locking, exchanges, NFTs, conditionals, contracting, and more. Contents tracking and more. And this, of course, is the GitHub. This is huge news because actually a very, very important part of Polkadot and it being interoperable is the XCM, which has just upgraded, and it's actually upgraded to the point where it's now allowing for this locking, this sort of messaging to take place, not just for tokens, NFT. It's really, this is the thing as well that excites me more than anything. This technology is all still being built out and evolving, and you get the opportunity I'm talking to you behind at the other end of the screen, to be an early investor in this very exciting tech as it moves forwards. An XCM, for anybody who's not familiar, I'll give you Polkadot's official definition: a secure cross-chain communication standards for blockchains to work together and form a basis of Web3. They need a common language for communication. Polkadot sets these standards with XCM, an interoperable consensus communication format and programming language that allows blockchains of different designs to securely exchange arbitrary data, code, and value. In this way, a new wave of rich cross-chain applications and services can be built that tap into the features and benefits of different chains. So I've also described Cosmos in this fashion. I know there's a bit of a rivalry with Cosmos and Polkadot, but I hope they both succeed, and I'm a massive fan of both projects. But you almost kind of want to think of Polkadot and Cosmos as like these microcosms of the actual crypto space. So you know how in the crypto space you've got Ethereum, you've got Solana, Cardano, whatever it may be, and then you've got, you know, things building in the NFT space, and maybe something's doing data like Filecoin or whatever it is. Well, actually, all that's facilitated on Polkadot. And there's a benefit that building a sort of blockchain ecosystem like the one we already have on Polkadot, instead of how it's currently built, is the fact that you get interchain communication through the relay node. And this is why I compared it to the kind of cardiovascular system, with the heart being the sort of consensus. And then you've got almost like information channels, and kind of the life source, you know, flowing to and from, and kind of, you know, feedback being given from the organs and everything back into the sort of mainframe. So it's just exciting for me. You know, it's quite hard to get your head around Polkadot, which is why I love showing this image, because it sums it up beautifully. You know, Polkadot is this inner ring, and then these are all layer ones built on top of it that are connected to the relay chain, which means they can message and transact value with one another. And you don't need a bridge to do this, or it is kind of a bridge, but it's trustless. And then you're going to have para threads on top. And as this ecosystem expands, you know, I'm hyped, guys. And with 48 parachains across Polkadot and Kusama, it's not going to be long before we get into the hundreds, and they're bridging Kusama and Polkadot. And actually, you know, we recently interviewed, and I won't reveal it just yet, the project. A project that's onboarding IBC, which is Cosmos' inter-blockchain communication, into Polkadot. So they're building a parachain with IBC, which means that essentially Polkadot now has a bridge, a trustless bridge through IBC to the Cosmos ecosystem, and soon elsewhere. So I mean, the yield opportunities are going to be insane. The arbitrage opportunities, you know, it's all stuff that I'm really looking forward to. I will say that Polkadot, actually, they do have some good wallets like Talisman, but things like Polkadot.js, I've found getting people who aren't maybe DeFi savvy to use them is quite tricky. It's not quite, you know, an easy thing to do, but this is an ecosystem, in my opinion, that's just going from strength to strength. And we're actually extensively looking, and in some cases talking with teams that are building on top of Polkadot and Kusama. And let me tell you, I'm seeing innovation in this space, you know, that I've got to be honest, I don't see in others, in terms of people actually trying to look at blockchain and say, how do we get this technology, you know, what do we need for mass adoption? And that's why you know, we said we're going to be aggressively releasing Polkadot content this year, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. But the main sort of news is, of course, the new version of XCM, enabling bridges, cross-chain locking, exchanges, NFTs, and so on and so forth. So you're essentially going to start to see this cross-chain Polkadot ecosystem really come to life. And it's important when you're looking at Polkadot to consider these as layer ones, and Polkadot as the crypto space, basically, the kind of ecosystem that they're built on. It's a kind of microcosm to the crypto space at large. Just on a little bit of side news, and then we'll take a little look at the price, and I'll love and leave you. This was a tweet from me. Now that the BS speculative printathon bubble gains have been largely wiped out, let's get back to business. And this was looking at daily active developers, which is in green, and you can see it's gone up and to the right, and the price has not represented that. And this is something that I really want to touch on. You know, Polkadot, along with all markets, you know, we could overlay the S&P here, we could overlay gold, you can overlay whatever you want. What? I'm not sure why we got that on. Essentially went up with the money supply. So because this isn't Polkadot doesn't have a massively exaggerated chart, but essentially Polkadot just went up with them printing a load of money. And its price, we're still in this very speculative sort of space for the cryptocurrency market. We're now moving into that adoption phase, in my opinion. I know people have been saying that for as long as I've been in crypto, but we really are. And now that we've wiped off a lot of those sort of speculative gains, I think it's going to be quite a good time for Polkadot. And we have sort of speculated in our daily cryptocurrency market updates that maybe, we're not, 1st of January, we took a non-bearish stance on the crypto space, having been out of the market for the past year. And I think that actually, if you kind of compare RSIs with Polkadot and let's say Ethereum, there are similarities here. But we can talk about that another day. This was really just a sort of Polkadot update where it's at, taking a look at its ecosystem, what it is, why this XCM upgrade is so important. And of course, you can see that now that we've wiped out a lot of those speculative gains, the gains that Polkadot and crypto and everything saw were basically as a result of monetary policy and potentially not, underlying fundamentals. And I think we're now going to have to move back to that. And you can see that Polkadot's fundamentals are very strong, and the fact that we've wiped out all of the sort of speculative hype is actually a good sign, in my opinion. This was a developer report. I found this interesting. It looks at Polkadot in terms of what we've just looked at. You can see here as well, Polkadot continues to add full-time developers at a higher rate than any other blockchain at the equivalent time in its history. All of the networks are still playing catch-up. And you can see Polkadot, it's really excelling. You can almost apply Metcalfe's law to this. In my opinion, the value of a blockchain is going to come from its users. This was another Ethereum, Polkadot, Solana, Polygon, and Cosmos took different paths to grow to 1,000+ total developers. Yeah, and you can see Polkadot took 3 years, Ethereum 4.5. It's almost one of the fastest adopted blockchains that we have. Ecosystem with 300+ full-time devs. This is just looking at developers. And so on and so forth. But there's other things, it's been a really good year for Polkadot, actually, 2022, despite the price action, which this article actually starts off covering in regards to the Fed, their rate hikes and how this has dampened everything. But actually, Polkadot's been going from strength to strength to strength. And I think we're going to see more of that continue. And now that there's this kind of speculative, now the speculative kind of market is somewhat being crushed and a lot of those gains have been given back, I think now we get on to, what's really going on here, and actually look to go up in price based on adoption. And Polkadot is, again, in terms of developers, in terms of many things, really leading that race. So very high hopes for Polkadot. This is huge news about XCM version 3. I believe there's version 4 and a number of other things to come, but this enables, a lot more sort of cross-chain activity. It's all good for the chain. Certainly as the ecosystem grows, we're going to start to see some real opportunities presenting themselves. On that note, guys, I'm going to love and leave you. I hope you guys liked my take on Polkadot, comparing it to the cardiovascular system. Uncomparable in many ways, but comparable in some. That's all I've got for you. See you all in the next YouTube video. I hope you've had a wonderful Thursday.